This compares the length of the Iliad and Odyssey to the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata. It's 10 times the size of both combined. If we slice out one tiny fraction of that massive text, the Sabhaparva, we find an astonishing density. This single chapter doesn't operate as a standard linear story. It serves as a highly specific political manual, explicitly instructing a king on how to manage 14 specific state possessions, including forts, cavalry, and foot soldiers, all governed by 6 core royal attributes. Yet placed directly alongside that dry administrative data, the text veers into bizarre cosmic tangents. It casually details the assassination of King Jarasandha, a ruler born as 2 lifeless separate halves who was literally fused together by a wandering demoness. You have municipal tax advice sharing space with supernatural demonic surgery. Trying to adapt that level of structural chaos into a tight, digestible format for a modern audience is a colossal narrative engineering problem. For thousands of years, that complexity was perfectly suited to its medium. The epic was maintained and transmitted by highly trained scholars and oral storytellers who navigated its sprawling, endless branches based on their audience. Ancient audiences experienced the mythology non-linearly. They interacted with it through localized traditions and layered physical artifacts, reading the stories from intricate stone carvings that depict dense clusters of deities and heroes, all existing in the same frame. But the 20th century introduced a completely different container, the scheduled television broadcast. To reach millions of people living in dense, modern cities, the myth had to be flattened out and served weekly in a strict linear progression. Squeezing a multi-dimensional oral tradition into a glowing box in the living room required ruthless structural translation. B.R. Chopra's 1988 television production approached this adaptation strictly as a mechanical problem. He instituted a rigid rule during casting, an absolute refusal to hire any established cinematic stars. If a famous actor played a deity, the audience would bring the context of their previous roles to the screen. Chopra needed total anonymity, so the actors could operate as pure, divine archetypes, completely unlinked from pop culture. He paired this visual purity with a linguistic mandate. The actors had to speak in Shuddh, or pure, Hindi, replacing casual street vocabulary with elevated historical dialogue to match the weight of the myth. This deeply reverent, localized approach contrasts sharply with other contemporary interpretations. Director Peter Brook filtered the exact same epic into a massive 9-hour stage play, engineered to translate the philosophy for Western theater audiences. By stripping away celebrity faces and everyday language, Chopra forced his 1980s television audience to interact with the myth on its own authoritative terms. But that still left the primary structural hurdle. The original text spirals outward with countless subplots and lineages, leaving no clean entry point for a casual viewer tuning in every Sunday morning. Chopra's solution was to invent an entirely new omniscient narrator, a voice that introduces itself simply as time. This narrator functions as a mechanical shortcut. Instead of acting out every dense genealogical branch, time can literally skip decades of lore, instantly summarize complex backstories, and pull a tangled web of events into a straight line. The concept of time acted as a direct bridge, holding the viewer's hand as they crossed from the modern world into ancient India. Adapting an infinite epic isn't about perfectly translating the book. It requires inventing the structural glue needed to hold the narrative together in a new medium. That unified communal television experience defined the 1980s. Today, the digital landscape has fractured that linear broadcast model entirely. Modern recommendation algorithms process the Mahabharata by breaking it down into bite-sized, disconnected hashtags and rapid-fire video summaries. We are now seeing a wave of AI-generated cinematic series that strip away the dense political philosophies to focus exclusively on isolated moments of visual magic. Creators generate standalone clips of highly specific events, like Goddess Ganga's celestial curse, or the magical theft of Sage Vashista's glowing cow. Under the pressure of platforms optimized for watch time, the epic ceases to be a single coherent narrative. It becomes a raw dataset, mined to produce high-retention microspectacles. The Mahabharata began as an intricate political and spiritual manual before being engineered into a serialized national television event. Now it is mutating again to survive the constraints of short-form AI video feeds. Its survival proves that its true power does not reside strictly in the original Sanskrit words. It functions as a living cultural algorithm. The story survives because it molds itself instantly to fit the technological constraints of whoever is trying to tell it. As long as human communication technology continues to evolve, humanity's longest story will simply keep rewriting itself.